Today, I want to talk about the real reasons why government is shut down. But first, I want to tell you that I'm from Oregon, legal marijuana state. We're legal for recreational. We're legal for medical. Um, so sit back, pick it, pack it, load a bowl, sit back, relax, listen to the conversation, join in if you feel, and let's see where we go with it. So, with that being said, let's talk about the real reasons why we're in a shutdown right now. Number one, because the Democratic Party is absolutely refusing to allow another one of President Trump's promises to go through. There's no way they're going to allow him to get a wall, which will help create his reelection bid. That's the number one reason they're not allowing the wall to go through. Um, Keep in mind that what President Trump is asking isn't even irrational. What he's asking is pretty much what a lot of other presidents before him asked too. So even presidents in the own party have asked for very similar type things. And he even agreed to negotiate DACA and other supervisions on undocumented individuals. And Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party have absolutely just denied it. They've said no before it even started. So you got to think about why they're not allowing that wall to be built, because that's really what we're talking about. They're telling us that it's in the best interest of the safety of our nation to have no wall there. Like I don't even understand how they figured the logic in not being able to protect our borders. That's the one thing. What they're basically saying is they're not going to fund a wall that protects us. That's a big problem. Now, why would they not want to protect us? Well, it's simple. Because they want undocumented to flow into our country. They want individuals to populate sanctuary cities. They want to give these individuals identifications, teach them how to vote, the Democratic Party, and then before you know it, the more and more illegals that they bring into this country, the more and more our rights as American citizens, the more and more our tax dollars and our jobs get depleted. That's why. So there's your number two reason why they don't want that wall built. So you got two reasons, and there's more. So they don't want them reelected. They don't want their voters stuck in Mexico. They don't want to admit that a non-politician could do a better job at something every politician before him has done. So when you're talking about the need for politicians, just keep in mind, President Trump was never a politician. And yet, if he gets that wall built, that would be something no president has been able to do before him, politician or not. So it makes all the politicians look bad when the guy who's never been in politics steps in and does a better job and gets the job done. Okay, that would swing more voters towards President Trump in a re-election. And it would set the tone for future elections, because it would simply ask the American people, why do we need politicians, specifically career politicians, to represent us when they don't represent us? So it lays down the path. And if you're a democratic liberal socialist or even a rhino, you're scared to death of the idea that American people are starting to stand up on their own feet and hear the idea of freedom and independence and starting to understand what it means to be by the people, for the people, because we, the people, have to get it done. You see, more and more people are starting to join the cause. And the more people who join, the more the media, the more the left, the more the rhinos want to bash us, the party of MAGA, the party of Trump, us, for getting the job done or for doing what's needed to be done. So, there's 4 reasons. Now let's go into this other reason. Well, because more and more people are going to unemployment because of the shutdown. There are government workers that are capable of now applying for unemployment. A big positive of President Trump's administration so far has been jobs and economy and the drop of unemployment rates. So now that there's a shutdown, is it in the best interest of the Democratic Party to open the government back up when more and more people are going to the unemployment office and collecting benefits, which then goes against President Trump? Because now they're going to turn it around and they're going to make it sound like that's his economy that's falling and that's his unemployment rate that's rising. Even though it's the Democrats and the rhinos that are essentially saying that America don't need security, that America don't need to build a wall. And think about that. He's not asking for trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars.
Are you smoking this one?
Yeah, here you go. What he's asking for is $5 billion. Sounds like a lot of money to you and me. But when you spend $54 billion on foreign affairs, $32 trillion on the war on drugs, millions here, millions there, billion here, billion there. What is that? What is $5 billion when it comes to the security of this country? The security of our future and ensuring that our people and our populace doesn't get overran by individuals with no allegiance to our nation, to our laws, to our judicial system, to our rights, or anything of such. Keep in mind, these are not individuals that come here, sign a legal ledger, and agree to do things legally. These are individuals that commit a crime by coming here illegally. And might I add that these individuals are committing an international crime. So the real thing is, why isn't anybody talking about international prisons for these international criminals? And that's one thing that President Trump could step up and start doing. He could start ordering that instead of catch and release, instead of catch and detain, you literally catch them and send them to an international prison. Or give them a choice. 5 years in an international prison where you're not bound by American rights, by the way. It's like Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay. Okay, it's an international prison. You're an international criminal. Now, it gets worse with whatever it is you bring here, whether it be weapons, drugs, human trafficking, whatever. But you should be given a basic choice. 5 years in Gitmo or some other international prison, or 3 years building a wall. There is a massive workforce right there ready to be had. There's 11.5 million individuals that are breaking the law, that are breaking international law. And I'm sorry, but you can't claim to be a law abiding American when you come here breaking laws. Wow, that's really.
I am not answering that phone call. I don't know who it is.
So
I got a voicemail.
you get to this point where you have to wonder. Are you smoking that thing?
Huh?
Are you smoking?
No. I'm camping.
Camping on a dead bull. That's the shutdown. You can understand why they're bashing and blaming President Trump for it.
I'm connecting.
So it strikes me as odd that we're seeing more and more um, Trump supporters are buckling under the pressure. Just blame Trump more and then beg him to end the shutdown. There's more and more so-called MAGA stronger Americans that are wanting President Trump to cave. And my question is, since when do we want this great on anything? He's been strong. He's been dominant. There's no reason he should cave on anything. What he's doing is needed. What he's doing is right. It makes no sense for him to cave on on border security, on the wall. And it's the Democrats that really should be thinking about caving because they're the ones holding up this nation's security. They're the ones holding up what is a reasonable solution. Keep in mind, all they want to do is leave it how it is. Okay, they think it's fine. They don't think there's a problem with our wall because apparently nobody walks over the wall that's on the floor or on the ground. Apparently, dig underneath the wall that's literally fallen over in some parts. Now, they say that we need underground sensors. I agree. I think we need a big ass wall that goes 6 feet deep with underground sensors that go another 6 feet. That's basically what I think. I think we should also have motion detection so we know what goes flying in the buffer zone in there. Build the wall, 100 yards back off the border with openings so we put a temporary wall up the way it is and then let them jump one wall, run through a big old wide open field, 100 yards to get to a big giant concrete wall. And then hell, us as Americans, we're done with it. We're done dealing with it. People may think it's harsh, but when it's our kids that suffer in school because the teachers don't have enough time to see all the kids, when it's our kids that are sitting back and suffering because classrooms are overpopulated.
It's mostly inner schools,
and,
schools.
and well, yeah, but still a lot of American kids are overpopulated. Each classroom is overpopulated. The teachers are literally stuck half the time trying to catch up kids that can't even speak English. And who's getting us behind? Our kids, our students. And that's a big problem. The time, the money, all of that is allocated towards this problem. Now you think about the fact that the big argument is, one, they can't collect food stamps. Illegals can't collect food stamps. Well, you're right. They can't. They can't work. So what they do is they get jobs under the table, literally, where you don't need to half the time report them or pay taxes on them. Then suddenly, because they're unable to get welfare, they end up having multiple children. And all of those children are able to collect welfare. That's how that's done. Now, each of those children are, I don't know, 100, $200 a dependent. Get 4, 5, 6 children, because that's kind of what they're all known for. That's $600, $700 out of a taxpayer's pocket to go feed a family of illegals. Then you talk about health care. You see our harm. So if a sick person shows up at the hospital, they don't care if they're legal or not. They have to take care of this person. Well, who do you think pays for this health care? The American tax dollars. So the cost of insurance goes up because of illegal immigration. Now, when people become, or when people are here long enough to obtain false identifications, false social security numbers, now they enter the workforce, specifically fast food or other low-level minimum wage jobs, jobs that our teenagers used to do. Now our teenagers aren't learning. Well, here's how. Because you can come to America, you can walk to a DMV, you can get your Mexican driver's license, you can pay a little bit of a fee, and transfer it over to license, specifically in states like California. Now, as soon as you get your driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. You see, in states like California, they expect the residents or the people to unregister if they're not allowed. So, what you get is a whole bunch of undocumented individuals that now think they can change the political realm in a state like California. So you get literally millions of them that come in. They affect voting, they affect different bills, different laws. Before you know it, sanctuary pops up. Now they're protected. So before you know it, all of this is, again, at taxpayers' expense. So when people ask me, how does illegal immigration affect Americans? Well, every aspect of it affects Americans. Every time one of them comes, okay, every time one of them comes here and takes a job or has a dozen kids, and every time one of them goes to a school, every time one of them comes here and gets arrested and goes to our jails, that's our cash. Even if they get deported, we pay for it. And if they don't get deported, and that's if we're lucky enough to catch them before they commit real crimes. You see, we can't complain about the one man standing up trying to solve the problem. Trying to solve the problem. Who we need to blame is the individuals that opened up our borders, that allowed 11.5 million individuals to come here unannounced, undocumented, unidentified. Need to blame is the people put in place who protected those individuals. I'll get light on here in a second. Takes me a second. I'm using my TV monitor, TV screen for light.
I got it.
But who we need to blame is the individuals that protected the international criminals that came here illegally, who set up the walls of sanctuary to protect them and keep them protected. Who we need to blame is every politician and every representative that has failed to build a wall. Who, you see, as we go down the line, it's easy for people to blame the president, who happens to be willing to do just about anything to get the wall built. What we're not blaming and who we're not talking to and talking about is everybody who's been in place that has caused this problem to start with.
But technically, we don't have to see as long as they can listen to you.
Yeah. Well, sorry about the light. My TV screen, my monitor shut off. I was using it for light. I guess I forgot to turn the chat on. Oh. So,
It's coming on.
alright. I said, let there be light. Maybe. Ha. All these and who happens to be the one guy that's reasonably negotiating. Mind you, what he's saying is, I'll give you some DACA, I'll give you some more relaxed penalties and time periods to get legal. Okay, that's what he's saying. Whereas the Democrats, specifically Pelosi, is saying, oh no, the only way we're building that wall is if you get a total gun confiscation. Okay, so is that even reasonable? What she's saying is, we're not giving you the wall no matter what. That's what she's saying. And that's not negotiating. That's strong-arming. So when she sits back and says that, what's the president supposed to do? Allow some senator from California to dictate national politics? Are we supposed to give up our American God-given rights so that we can be protected by a government that most of us don't even believe in anymore? What we need to do as Americans is stand up, call those representatives, tell them how full of shit they are, tell them to fund the damn wall, to build the wall, to start arresting international criminals and treating them as such. Period. What bothers me, here's what really gets me. Oh, this thing is dead. Do you want any more here?
I'll load it. Don't worry.
Here's what really bothers me.
Just give me a second. Just keep talking.
If the Mexicans that came here, if the undocumented Where from Saudi Arabia, Syria, Afghanistan, Pakistan, or any place of that sort, they would be detained. They would be possibly treated as international criminals for coming here illegally if they cross the Mexican border the way Mexicans do. They would be detained as terrorists. If any person from Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Syria,
Oh, right.
any of those, if any of those showed up, came through Mexico, paid a coyote to get them across the border illegally and unannounced so that they can blow shit up, or whatever it might be, if any of them did that and they got caught, what would what would we do? We would arrest them. We would ship them off to Gitmo. We would interrogate the shit out of
Oh,
them
here's your lighter.
to find out what their intentions were. So, my question is, why do we treat other foreign invaders the same way? Why do we not treat them the same way? Why do we treat them differently? People say because Mexicans aren't all terrorists. Well, when you consider how many pounds of
Mine.
that they say that Mexicans are peaceful people looking for a new life, I would say, how am I supposed to know? They don't tell me who they are. They don't want to show me. They come here unannounced, unidentified. They could be, Javier could be Hector. Javier, the gentle farmer, could end up being Hector, the MS-13 person smuggling, human trafficking, or whatever else it is. How do I know? And that's my big problem. So when I hear people complain about the border wall, try to explain to me that we don't need it, I remind them that how is it we don't need it? How is it that we treat these invaders any different than we would anyone else? Why is it that these people are allowed to push drugs and illegal weapons, basically slavery, into America, specifically into our own troubled inner cities? How is it that they're able to recruit our own troubled inner city youth and get away with their criminal activities? All of which time we're supposed to turn a blind eye, and we're supposed to say that every Muslim in America is a terrorist. Now, do I support Muslims? No. Do I think Islam is the biggest satanic cult in America? Yeah. It's the biggest satanic cult ever in the world. But that being said, they're invaders, they're terrorists, they're known for doing the same thing. They're known for terrorizing big numbers of people, they're known for pushing drugs, they're known for pushing illegal weapons, human trafficking. They're known for the same thing. So, what's the difference between Al Qaeda and MS-13? What's the difference? They both kill. They both are funded by drugs, illegal drug cartels. They're both protected and armed by illegal weapons. What's the difference? I'll tell you the difference. Our politicians protect the Mexicans. Our politicians give them sanctuary. They allow them to come here to take refuge in America. They give them more and more rights while they strip away ours every day. I'm asking you, America, do you remember the Alamo? Do you remember what happened the last time Mexicans came here demanding our guns, demanding our rights? How is it that the American people are willing to put up with this, to accept this? How is it that our representatives, who we elected, are willing to turn their backs on us as American citizens and willing to protect these international criminals, foreign invaders? Let's call them what they are. How is it that the American people are becoming second and third class citizens in our own damn nation? Our youth is being subverted into believing that somehow this is what's right. That somehow America has become, well, too big, and somehow America needs to turn into this globalistic one world, new world order thing. Okay, they're corrupting our youth into believing in this socialism and all kinds of crazy shit. American values is out the door. The American spirit, the American dream, that's all dying at a rapid pace. Our trust in faith, our trust in our president is gone. We've lost what it means to stand up for something, to stand up for our rights. You see, when I hear patriots, I feel that they're a dying breed. I feel that patriotism is turned somehow into some racist remark, that somehow you became a criminal by wanting to protect your country and your countrymen. It's sad when we as Americans have to sit back and watch our nation get ripped to shreds, took from us, and then somehow we're criminals for wanting to express our rights before they're ripped from us. All of which time we have a generation trying to give up gun rights so that we can't protect ourselves from the same government looking to rob us. You see, the entire Second Amendment is about standing up. It's about liberals want to steal your money, the Republicans want to make money off of you. No matter how you look at it, politics in America have become two sided. One is evil, the other is worse. The question is, which side do you pick? Which is the worst of two evils? Why does it have to be that way? Why can't the American people choose a party that actually still believes in America? That actually still believes in what our president is doing? Why can't there be a party that is all about the rights and protecting the rights of the American people and driving the American people to do what they have to? You see, it's coming to the point where we need to unbury our guns. It's coming to the point where when they come knocking to take our them simply what our forefathers did. You can have my guns when you pry it from my cold, dead hand. Once we give up our gun rights, we give up our protections. We give up our ability to protect ourselves. You look in history, no nation where the people have been de-armed has ever gone good. It's all been tyrannical. It's all turned into monarchy or been overthrown. Once you take the ability of the people to protect themselves, they become sheep. And that's the problem we have. So you see this movement in America where they want you to give up your rights. They want you to think it's okay to to let your country fall, to let your nation fall into debt, to support individuals that come here by the millions. They want you to believe it's okay because America's so great, we can handle it. But eventually, America breaks because we can't handle it. And who's there to pick us up? This one world globalistic idea that puts America in the same bracket as Iraq and Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan and Pakistan and Mexico and Africa.
I'm going upstairs.
Okay, babies. It puts America in the same category. You want to guess? I want to guess.
Alright.
It puts America in the same category as these third world countries. And that's the real problem. Because when you're talking about globalism, where everybody's equal, the question is, how do you get everybody involved? How do you convince North Korea they're equal? How do you convince China they're equal? How do you convince Russia they're equal? The problem is with globalism is you can't get everybody on deck. You can't get everybody on par. Nobody's going to agree with it because there's no centralized leaders. There's no set of rules. And then there's nobody there to enforce them because once America is broken, America, who happens to police the world, who happens to fund most of the nation's, most of the world's UN and fund most of, what are you going to do? When America falls, this world will be ripe for terrorist activity. So the left don't want the wall. We know the left don't want the wall. Because what the left wants is America to fall. The Republicans don't want that. So they're going to Trump and the votes are coming in, and as long as the Democrats aren't winning. They also know that once Trump's out of office, it'll be right back to the way it was. That there's no real Trump-like candidate to take place. A matter of time before the Republican numbers, the good old boys, start taking back the Republican Party. And us MAGA people will rally, we'll swing, but who's the guy we'll rally behind? Soon we'll start being disinterested because, again, our voices will be outheard. Our voices will be silenced by politics as usual, by the swamp. That's why we're here doing the Americans' first political party. That's why I believe in what I'm doing. Because it is so important to this nation that we continue as people to be the nation that grows, to be the nation that prospers, to be the nation that is capable of protecting when another country comes calling. People say it's not our responsibility. Well, I disagree. I believe that with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what sets America up from the rest of the world. Is places like Russia don't jump up to go help other nations. They use their power for their own self-benefits. Whereas America uses their power to liberate nations. They use their power to free people, to topple dictators and tyrants. No matter how you look at it, build that wall. Turn your back on our president. Don't lose faith in the one man trying to solve our problems. Don't lose faith in the one man standing up for you, America. Question everybody who's getting in his way. Question why they're stopping us for what they call is just a measly $5 billion. Question why they don't want that wall built. and then come to me and tell me, whose fault is it? My name is Mark Duncan. I go by Tokie. I come here, I smoke, I talk real shit, I talk real life, I talk real politics. I won't hold back. I'm not afraid. And I'll tell you what, I support Trump. I support our president. I support America. I support what we're doing and what we've done. We need to stand up as Americans, and we need to stand behind our president because he is the only one standing for us. Period. I say keep this shut down. Keep this bitch shut down. Keep it shut down until the Democratic Party wants to cave. Keep this bitch, just keep this bitch shut down until and the American people are safe. So me, from my living room, from my home, my room, out to you, go talk this, and we are the Americans' first political party. So thank you